Good morning and welcome to another episode. Oh my Lord, it's chilly this morning and I know people in much colder climates don't have any empathy for me whatsoever. However, all I have to say is if you lived in a place where 151 days of this year were over 100, you would be really cold at 43 degrees. That said, I am going to read something to start off today's episode. So it's close to me, but I'm going to avert my eyes from the camera for a bit. So here we go. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the epic of belief. It was the epic of incredulity. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair. We had everything before us. We had nothing before us. We were all going direct to heaven. We were all going direct the other way. In short, the period was so far like the present period that some of its noisiest authorities insisted on it being received, for good or for evil, in the superlative degree of comparison only. Now, this is the opening sentence, believe it or not, that is one sentence, from A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens, which is one of the most famous sentences ever written in any language, in any book, that it is, according to Wikipedia, the most sold novel of all time. And it is poignant, obviously, to say the least. And it's poignant for a number of reasons. First of all, when I was preparing this morning, and I don't prepare a lot, but when I first read that this morning, because this line came to me before starting this today, and I was almost in tears over it, because it is as relevant today as it was when it was written in the 1800s. And it was set during the French Revolution, before and during the French Revolution, which I am fascinated by, mainly because the French Revolution really did change our society from medieval to what we are currently experiencing, for better or for worse. Yesterday I was listening to Alan Watts, and I listened to a couple of his episodes. One was about no gurus, which I'm going to go in on another episode in which I will talk about. That is my perspective on this channel. But he said something, he talked about, I remember now, he was talking about the I Ching, and he was talking about the two sides of everything. And which is essentially also what Dickens is saying here. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. And I feel that wholeheartedly in my life today. It is the best of times in so many ways in my life today. And in so many ways in our lives today, it is the best and worst of times. And this is recorded in December of 2020, for those of you listening to this in the future. What was happening in December of 2020 was the COVID pandemic was getting significantly worse. Significantly worse. So it was the worst of times. We also had a president that is not willing to acknowledge the fact that he's going to no longer be president. It was the worst of times. And this brings me to a couple of things. I have talked about this before, but the story of the Chinese farmer who essentially said, we'll see, supposedly good fortune came, and he just said, we'll see. And supposedly bad fortune came, and he said, we'll see. And Mr. Watts was saying in the recording that I was listening to yesterday about the I Ching is that both sides have to exist, which is very contrary to what first, at least my society told me. My society kept saying to me that, we'll just do this and all will be fine. We'll just do that and all will be fine. We'll eliminate the pollution in the atmosphere and all will be fine. We've been trying to fix everything for a very long time. I can certainly see that in my lifetime that, all the leaders were saying, well, we'll fix it this way. Oh, well, we'll fix it this way. Oh, well, we'll fix that. We'll fix that this way. Well, it doesn't really seem to be working. And maybe it's not supposed to be that way, is my point. Maybe it is supposed to be the best of times and the worst of times always. You can't have light without darkness. And I feel that is part of the message that I have been producing on this channel. I said the other day, I haven't listened to it, but when I was talking the other day, I realized that I was really saying what I envision this channel to be like and what I envision coaching people is like. That I don't want you to hang around forever. I want you to go out and do your own stuff. We can collaborate. I can tell you things from my perspective and experience, and we can move on, which is the thing I love about no gurus. But I also have a website and a practice and a philosophy and a YouTube channel that I'm hoping is not airy-fairy. I'm hoping is more concrete, yet still at the same time practicing what some people would consider to be airy-fairy. You know, 12, 13 some odd years ago, I lost part of my retirement, or the majority of my retirement money. And as a lot of people did. And I have not lived the kind of lifestyle that I have had in the last few years as a result of that. In fact, it's been hard at times. And yet, I said earlier on this episode that I'm in probably the best space I've ever been in my whole life, and more at peace in my whole life. So what does that say? It says you can't have the light without the dark. I truly feel, I think it probably, hopefully it could have been taught in a different way, but that's the way it was taught. The universe taught it to me, was that I had to lose a lot in order to gain something new. And that's really where the challenge comes in. And I think that's where the fight is and the resistance is for most people. They just don't want to lose in order to gain. And that's kind of the point of the channel, is that we have to step away from stuff in order to gain stuff. It was the best of times, and it was the worst of times. We can't have the black without the we can't have the white without the black. We can't have the dark without the light. That's all part of the process. And it doesn't take away all of the efforts that I do on a daily basis, from my prayer practice to doing this video, to learning my French, to being of service to others. It doesn't take away any of that. But it enhances life to understand that and to accept that it ain't always fabulous and it ain't always horrible either. I feel complete for today. Thank you so much for listening. Merci beaucoup. À bientôt. Bonne journée.